verse 10. Again, Esther spoke unto Hathach and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. Verse 11. And all the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that, this is Esther speaking, that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king in the inner court, who is not called. That means that according to their custom, amen, if the king has not called you, you cannot go before the presence of the king. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter whether you are his right-hand man, his queen, or whatever. If the king has not called you, you cannot, amen, get to him. Amen, amen, amen. There, one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. That if you break that law, it's only the king who can what? Who can redeem and save it. But if you've not received it, don't try the king. Don't even what? Go there. But have not been called to come unto the king these 30 days. I wish I had the New King James Version, but it looks like you're all doing well. Verse 12, amen. They told Mordecai the words of Esther. How many of you know that sometimes you are told to give instructions to somebody and you decide to add to it? I do that. Let me leave alone. Esther gave specific instructions to Mordecai. In 2026, you're going to get what? Specific instructions for some people. Oh, my prophetic side is coming in already. I'm saying in 2026, you're going to get what? Specific instructions for somebody. And you better make sure that you say it as it is. Amen. Give me. So they told Mordecai the words of Esther, verse 13. And Mordecai told them to send this message back to Esther. How many of you know that sometimes you tell somebody something, they have the right to speak back to you, because whatever God has told you, God didn't tell them. Can I get a wit? Oh, y'all didn't hear what I just said. You know, I understand the gift of prophecy. Sometimes God tells you things, but if God told you, God would find another way to confirm to the person, to get ready for the word that is coming to you. And Mordecai told them to answer Esther. Do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. God, let me repeat that part. Mordecai told them to tell Esther. And by the way, Mordecai was Esther's uncle. Amen. Do not think in your heart that you will escape the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. Give me verse 14. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. I feel like preaching already. Be careful of your comfort zone. Be careful where you are. And I know there are no millionaires in the church right now, but sometimes we get blessed and we start trusting, amen, in our comfort zones. Can I get a word? We start trusting in the beautiful house God gave us. We start trusting in the beautiful family God gave us. We start trusting in the things that God has blessed us. Sometimes even to the point that we've forgotten who blessed us with those things. Give me the next verse. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for a time such as this. If I don't even preach, you got a word already. Let me leave it alone. Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai. You know, one of the reasons why I love about preaching, amen, is because when the Lord puts the word in your spirit, you just sit back, amen, watch you some basketball and just enjoy. But once you're enjoying, the words are just going through your spirit and it's preparing you. And it's like, so all these things, I didn't even mean to say that's why preachers talk a lot, amen. Give me back that verse. Give me back that verse 15. Give it back to me. Give me back verse 15. Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai. When God is doing something, there's always a back and forth. And in 2020, it said there's going to be a back and forth with Pastor Richard. Can I get a witness? I'm going to challenge you. You're going to challenge me. Can I get a witness? God is going to send some people your way. They're going to challenge you. You're going to what? Challenge them. Give me that verse 16. Amen. Amen. Give me verse 16. Go gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan and fast for me, neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. And my maids and I will fast likewise. And so I will go to the king, see what prayer can do. Can I get a witness? She moved from fear to favor to power. Can I get a witness? God has not given us a spirit of what? Of fear, but of love, of power, and of a sound mind. Can I get a witness? Amen. When those interactions started going forth, all of a sudden Esther, amen, begin to know the power is really in her God. Can I get a witness? Not in the king who happened to be her husband. I wish somebody just knows that number 47 can do all he wants. Can I get a witness? He can scream, come, do everything, go to Nigeria, bomb places, do whatever he wants to do. But I want you to know that he is nothing but a tool in the hand of God also. Let me see if I can do verse 17. Amen. If there's a verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther commanded him. Man, listen. I mean, Esther is believed to be a young woman. Mordecai is the uncle. Can I get a witness? And you know how uncles are. I got quite a few nieces. They don't tell me what to do. I mean, but I love them, so every now and then I listen to them. Especially when I know their bank account. I know how much they make. I know how much they're going to make. Mordecai listens to Esther. In 2026, you got to be careful who you listen to. I know that's my prophetic side. I'm still going to preach. I'm going to dissect the word, but I want you to receive from the Spirit some of the things that I have received. In 2026, you better be careful who you listen to. You ought to pay attention to the spirit of obedience in you. Because some folks are going to ask you to do things that you don't have high regard of them. You don't even think they are worth telling you what to do. But if it's of God, you got to do it. Because that's the source of your blessing. Come on, put those hands together and give God some praise. Come on, we can do better than that. Let me see if I can break this down for us. I realize that some of my talking is always because there's so much I want to say. But I want to just give you a little context to the book of Esther. And I'm just reading from the Bible Gateway. I've asked many of you to download it. Every book comes with an introduction written by great professionals. Can I get a witness who put, books and books and condense it into a few lines to give you what? An understanding. So this is what the Bible Gateway, amen, says, amen, about the book of Esther. You don't have to read, just listen to me. It says, the book of Esther strangely never mentions God's name. That's for the theologians. Amen. Never mentions God's what? Name. Yet God clearly orchestrated all of the events in the book of what? In the book of Esther. Esther, a Jew living among the exiles in Persia, become queen of the empire around 480 BC. That's around 480 years before Christ. Haman, who was a Persian official, sought to eradicate the Jewish minority, but God had prepared Esther for a time such as this. Remember that man Haman. In 2026, the devil is going to raise up some Hamans in your life. They are people that have been what? Set up, amen, to frustrate the plan of God in your life. Amen. It says that the book was written some decades later to document the origins of why Jewish people observe, amen, the Feast of Purim, amen, which celebrates Israel's survival and God's what? Faithfulness. And then it talks about the fact of who the author of the book of Esther could be, but obviously most scholars believe that was Mordecai himself who narrated, amen, this story to somebody that put it out for us to be able to understand. Now, for those of you who read the Old Testament, I just want to give you an idea, especially when you get to the prophets. Anytime you're reading, amen, any of the prophets, find out whether they are pre-exilic prophets or post-exilic prophets or in-exile prophets. Very simple. Showing off a little bit. I'm saying to understand and enjoy the book of the prophets, always have this delineation in your mind as to understanding them better. And so we know that Isaiah prophesied before the exile. Jeremiah prophesied just before the exile also, but went into exile himself. And so all the prophets, the major minor prophets, you can look at all of them, research just a little bit, Google, and you will find out whether they were pre-exilic prophets or post-exilic prophets or what? Or prophets who are in exile. And the book of Esther was not written by any of the known prophets. Amen. This happened whilst they were what? In exile. Amen. And it is important once you get that, then now you start. There are a lot of preachers, they don't want to read from the book of prophets because they don't study. Hello? 2020 says God will give you favor. You're going to start studying the book of what? All the prophets, the major and the minor. That's for another session. 3 things I want to draw your attention to. Number 1, just in case I miss you, I want you to remember these 3 things before I just start preaching. Number 1, amen, God's plan would be what? Would be seen through whatever you think and whatever you do. God's plan would happen, would materialize in spite of what you think, in spite of what you do, in spite of what Number 47 does, in spite of what America does, God's plan would materialize. God's plan for you will materialize. It doesn't even matter what you think. It doesn't even matter how you mess yourself so up because you don't want God's plan to be effected in your life. I remember my own life. I was running away from God, but every time I did, amen, God had to bring me back to my senses and said, yes, you went to university. Yes, you had a degree. Yes, you want to become all this, but I have a plan for you. The reason why some of you, and I say some of you, and including me also, you are not living a fulfilled life because you're trying to follow somebody's plan for your life. You trying to become, and I was watching Michael Jordan, amen, and I know I'm live, so I have to be careful, but anytime you put something out there, amen, it's public information. Michael Jordan had two brothers, can I get a witness? And his father was a little harsh on Michael Jordan, but Michael wanted his father's affection so much, amen, that he would do everything just to get his father's attention. And in that documentary, amen, he said that his father would say, boy, just go be with your mom. And the harder he tried, the more his father ignored him. He wanted his father's what? Attention, his affection, so that he would be the child that what? That he thought his father wanted him to become. And we know the relationship between him and his father. The truth be told, that he ended up becoming what? The world's what? Maybe best basketball player. But his father didn't live long enough to see all that. Be careful whose plan you are following. Those of you on social media and all kinds of things, people telling you what you should become. Some of those things are good, but be more concerned about God's plan. Yesterday was at the service, amen, Reverend Wilson, amen, reminded him that sometimes what you're going through is not what you're really going through. Oh, y'all better talk back to me. Sometimes what you're going through is not what you're really going through. Can I get it? Let me leave it alone. The plan of God will materialize, will be fulfilled in spite of what we think, in spite of what we want. Secondly, you have to pray that God will show you his purpose for you. Amen. So that you can fit into his plan. The reason why you and I struggle, first of all, we don't even know God's plan for our lives. We're going into 2026. We've already made resolutions that we're going to what? Do in 26. The devil has already set you up. Come January 1st, you're going to what? You're just going to mess up. And the devil is going to tell you couldn't make it. I'm going to stop smoking. And 2026, amen. You just can't handle it. I need one. I'm not telling you about your personal lifestyle, but I'm just trying to help you to understand the plan of God is more than smoking. The little stuff that we've got to deal with. Thirdly, just in case I lose you, pray that God's plan will be made what? Evident. So the background to this story, as I read from that introduction is very simple. The nation of Israel are in exile. And this man, Haman, amen, for some reason, the devil was working through him. Amen. To the point where he goes to the king and cuts a deal with the king that I will get you all this money if I can destroy the Jewish people. Now, be careful. When we talk about Jewish people, we're not equating to what is happening in Israel right now. I'm not here to get into trouble with anybody, but I want to make it very clear that those who claim that they are the descendants of Abraham cannot do the things they've done in that land. And I'm not going to confuse issues. I just want to set it right because I only have a few minutes to make things clear. Amen? But it is also true that God has a special relationship, not with necessarily the geographical area that people claim that they are what? God's people. And the reason why, when we celebrate Christmas, why is Bethlehem under siege? If Jesus was not born in Bethlehem, if Bethlehem is not what the Bible talks about, why is there so much what? Havoc in Bethlehem. Muslims are claiming it. The Jews are claiming it. Christians are claiming it. That's for another sermon. Talking about the plan of God. So this Haman guy decides that he's going to do everything within his willpower that the people of God's people will be destroyed. As we get into 2026, I want you to know that there's a plan in this country for the people of God to be destroyed. They are allowing everything in our schools. They are allowing everything on television. But when the people of God say anything about their Christ, they are in trouble. Let me tell you something. You may not like it, but I'll tell you anyhow. The reason why number 47 seems to be popular is because people hate him, but at least he is claiming that he is for Christians. And so he goes to Nigeria. He bombs, those terrorists because he wants what? He's protecting the Christians. He's just looking for the Christian vote. Can I get a witness? Because people are being killed in Nigeria, not just Christians, but Muslims are also being killed. These ISIS people are deranged. They are nihilists. They don't believe in anything. The only thing is that they would allow the devil to use them to put fear and terrorize people. And so number 47 works his way into the whole plan. Oh, y'all didn't hear what I just said. It's amazing how folks can work their way into God's plan. But how many of you know that in 3 years he will be gone? Can I get a witness? And the people of God still have to pray for Northern Nigeria. Come on and put those hands together and give God some praise. Amen. Come on, give God some praise. And so this man decides to what? Kill them. The devil came to kill, to steal, and to destroy. And every time, wherever we are in this great city of Philadelphia, wherever we are, when we see the hand of what? The devil. Anytime you see people living beneath their dignity, anytime you see a guy in Russia killing people, can I get a word? In Ukraine, and listen, this is the first time I have prayed, and I'm going to be public. The God should take him out. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? I've never prayed that prayer, and when I started, it was scary. But I said the only way the madness will stop is for God to take him out. I'm going to leave it alone. And Pastor Richard trying to insert himself into what God's plan. Amen. But when I see the hurt and the pain, I just can't stand it. Amen. This man, hey man, I was allowing the devil, and the devil would always find someone to use to fulfill his plan. Can I get a witness? God has his plan. The devil also has a plan. And sometimes you need to figure out who is what winning in your life. You have to figure out where the struggle is coming from. You remember Job, right? Can I get a witness? The devil went to what? God, and said, Job only serves you because of what you've given for him. And so you strike him, take everything away from him, and he would no more what? He would no more serve you. Poor Job, he did not know that what he was going through, his heart, his body, his family, was just the battleground between the forces of what? God and what? And the devil. And it took him almost 40 chapters in the book of Job to realize, amen, that God was behind everything. Put those hands together and give God some praise, amen. I come today to let you know that the plan of God for your life would materialize. It doesn't matter what people have said to you. It doesn't matter what people have taken you through. You better put those hands together and give God some praise. You got to get into 26, amen, praying that the plan of God will be fulfilled in your life. Don't get into all the stuff that you want to give up and all the stuff that you got to do and all the stuff that you're going to go do for God. I want you to go into 2026 to praying that God's plan for you will be manifested. 2025 was a quiet year for me. And as I share with